Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plots Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. Everyone enjoys seeing a butterfly flitting around the garden. Today we're going to attract more by planting a butterfly garden. Also, Japanese maples are good focal points for a garden. That's just ahead on the Family Plots Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plots. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Joellen Diamond. Joellen is Director of Landscape at the University of Memphis, and Ms. Carol Reese will be joining us later. All right, Joellen, we have some beautiful plants here. What are we going to do?
We're going to create a butterfly garden.
Cool.
Now, when you do butterfly gardens, you got to do a little bit of research. The majority of butterflies like nectar producing flowers that usually like full sun. So you really need a lot of sun for a butterfly garden.
And I think we have
I think we've got
plenty,
full sun
right?
here. Yes, we do. Also, when you plant a butterfly garden, you got to think of the whole life cycle of a butterfly, because the adults are usually the ones that are gathering the nectar.
Okay.
And you've got to build, have some kind of food for the caterpillars. So we've got a little bit of that here today. And we'll go over each of the plants that we're going to be putting in the garden. And we're also going to create a space for them to get water, like they like to do, and to be able to stretch out on some rocks to sun themselves.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to, and of course, WKNO has got plenty of trees that are native around here that fulfills a lot of the rest of the life cycle of the butterflies that we're kind of trying to attract.
Good, good.
So we're going to get everything in for a complete life cycle of many different butterflies.
Okay.
So we will get started by, this is very nice soil. This soil has been amended already. So we've just tilled it up a little bit with a shovel and loosened it. And now we're ready to plant.
All right.
One of the first things we'll plant in here is this red hot poker plant. It likes lots of sun. And of course it's got nice red orange flowers that butterflies like. And then we've got another one this is a native to the United States. This is Liatris. And it'll have little lavender spikes out on the top of it.
Oh, nice.
That butterflies like real well.
Okay.
Another perennial that we've got is sedum.
Sedums, I know that.
Now these will bloom in the fall. So what we're trying to do is get something blooming in this bed all the time, so that all the butterflies throughout the season have got nectar to get.
Okay.
So this will extend our fall blooming, and we have a couple of those.
Nice. So far all of these plants are easy to maintain?
Easy to maintain. All like to live together.
Okay.
Have the same kind of requirements. None of these plants like to be wet, which is good.
Good.
So we're kind of going for a moist, but that can dry out bed.
Okay.
Next, we've got something just for the monarchs. And this is the Asclepias. This is the only plant that they need for their entire life cycle. They like the nectar from this, the caterpillars eat on this, and this is the only plant that you need to attract monarchs to your garden.
The only plant?
The only plant.
How about that? Okay.
And this is the only one they eat. And since they're very small plants, in fact, they're blooming right now along the roadsides. We'll put 3 of them together there, so we'll have enough for somebody to come and eat and produce their entire life cycle with that.
How about that?
Next, we have something that should bloom a lot during the summer.
Yeah.
This is Rudbeckia.
I know that one.
And this is particularly Rudbeckia hirta, which is more favored by butterflies. Let's see, next we have phlox.
Ah, yeah.
And now some of these perennials don't bloom all summer long, which is why we have a succession of plants and some annuals that we're going to plant in here. But we'll put that in here. Then we'll go to the other side and get the rest of our perennials in. We have a very small, at this point, Russian sage. This is also a butterfly favorite. And then we have another fall blooming plant. This is, now it's an aster. This has got a very long scientific name, but this is our aromatic aster, the one that has the woody leaves that blooms really late in the fall.
Okay.
So after the sedum bloom, then this will bloom. And next we have another perennial called Gaillardia, and this will bloom all summer long. We have a couple of those because they're bright, and butterflies like bright colors. The oranges, the reds, the yellows, the hot pinks, and sometimes the purples. They like purple also.
Okay.
So along with that,
Oh yeah.
we also have the
like
ever
those.
popular echinacea. And this is a smaller variety. Since we have a smaller bed, I thought we'd get a smaller variety. This is called powwow.
Powwow.
Powwow. And next we'll move on to our annuals, because as much as perennials are great for butterflies, we need something that's blooming all the time. And one thing that can do that is your annuals. And it's easy to slip them in, because see, look, this is our perennials. And you see we have some spots left.
Oh, we do.
So we're going to fill those in with some annuals. The first one that they like, some like the best, is Monarda. And you notice this isn't quite blooming yet, so it's forming blooms. So we'll have that there. Next, we have a purple heliotrope. Now, the reasons why they like this heliotrope, not only is it purple and a good nectar source, but the flowers are kind of flat, and that's what butterflies tend to like, is flat flowers, so they can land easily on them
Interesting.
to get the nectar.
Okay.
So we have the heliotrope, and let's see.
This is filling in pretty good.
Yeah. And then, of course, who doesn't like
Ah.
zinnias in their perfect colors
Beautiful
that butterflies
colors.
love?
Beautiful.
Something else that butterflies like a lot is lantana.
Love lantanas.
Lantana is gorgeous. And so this will bloom all the rest of the summer and into the fall.
Nice.
Another plant we have that butterflies actually like is portulaca, also known as moss rose.
Okay.
So we've got a couple of those to put here. Then, of course, we want something for them to eat and also to get nectar from, and those are some herbs.
Ah,
So right here, and you can see that this oregano is blooming,
that's nice.
which is very
This
nice
is nice.
because the butterflies can take advantage of that. And we'll plant it here so that it trails over the side,
Nice. Okay.
and we'll add some more space to the garden.
Okay.
We need some other things that butterflies larvae can eat, and that's parsley.
Parsley.
None of the, and fennel they eat also, but I've got parsley. So we're going to move that over just a little bit and put our parsley in here. And another thing they like is sage. So we've got one sage to go in the corner, and hopefully these herbs are going to be at the edge as they can spill over the edge of the bed, so
Oh, you
they're
have a-
easier to see.
You have a real good eye for design, I see, right?
And
pretty
another herb that they like is thyme.
Ah,
And again, this is trailing, so we're going to put it at the edge
okay.
so it can trail over the side. And of course, we have another parsley that we're going to set in here. And then chives. Butterflies actually like the blooms of chives. So we're going to put some chives in too. All right, so we've got them all set out, and now it's time to plant.
All right.
But I just wanted to let you know that what I did is, after looking around and finding the right plants, I went ahead and did a plan.
Nice.
Drew out a chalk on some concrete and laid all the plants out so that we would know if it fit. So, and it does.
And
so
it fits.
now we are ready to plant. This out.
Oh, yeah.
And the roots aren't too bad. There's just separation. Bad.
All right, Joellen, what do you think?
Looks
good.
beautiful. But now we've got to mulch.
Yes, got to do that, right?
We want to, the mulch will help hold the moisture in the soil for all these plants.
Okay.
And we're going to do that before we plant those itty bitty tiny vinca in the front.
Okay.
And a trick that I use when we're trying to go around small plants, you have this big bag of mulch, is you take a container and you fill it with the mulch so that you can easily just set it around the plants. Because we don't want this thick. We just want to cover the ground.
Yeah, I like that trick. So what do you think so far?
That looks all good, nice and mulched. And
Very
now it's time to add the little bit of flowers that we have left that are so small. And we'll just fill in where we see some blank spaces. We've got 6. Well, there's 3 of them.
3.
See, there's a hole right there.
Okay. You just sit it
Maybe
there.
that
I
would
will
be
plant.
good.
Okay.
Looks like we got a hole here, one here. And there we go. Next, we've got to provide some sand in shallow dish that we can keep wet all the time, because they'll be able to land on it. It'll be solid, but it'll be wet enough that they can get a drink from.
Okay.
And we're going to set up our rocks around it so they'll have some place to sunbathe on.
Okay. All right, Joellen. So we got everything our pollinators need, right?
That's right. We got flowers. We've got some feeder plants for some of the caterpillars. We've got a place for them to get a drink and a place for them to rest and sunbathe their wings. Yes.
Looks inviting.
It does.
I feel like going down there and just sunbathing, right?
Yeah, it's warm enough.
Well, look, Joellen, we definitely appreciate that. Can't wait to see what this looks like throughout the growing season.
I think it's going to be great.
I think it's going to be beautiful. Thank
Thank
you much.
you.
This weed is fleabane, or daisy fleabane. Here's the growth. Actually reproduces by seed. It forms a rosette of leaves first on the soil surface, then up comes the rest of the plant. It has the alternate leaf arrangement. Okay, these leaves have net parallel veins on them, and look at the beautiful flower, all right? Look at the yellow color in the flower. So this is your daisy fleabane, which is in the aster family. Looks beautiful, don't you think? All right, Miss Carol, let's talk a little bit about Japanese maples. We love Japanese maples, don't we?
We do. They don't always love us.
Right.
And you better love them, because
Yes.
sometimes they can cost a pretty penny.
Hey, they sure can.
Although they have come down in the last few years. I think there's more people producing them, and sometimes the price is less than I expect it to be when I pull up that tag. And let's talk about why they're that expensive. You know, to grow them, you have to have a grafted plant. You can take seeds off a Japanese maple and plant them and grow a little maple, and sometimes they're quite beautiful, a seed-grown maple. There's a lot of variability, but most often you're going to get a small green tree with great fall color. And I love them, and they're often more heat tolerant and sun tolerant, which can be a real issue with Japanese maples. So actually a few of my Japanese maples in my yard are seedlings, and they look quite good. But to get the weeping form that so many people want, or the lace leaf form, which, by the way, I think a red weeping lace leaf form has become so common that let's talk about some of the others maybe being more desirable. But if you want one like that, let's say Tamukayama, which is a very good form for the South, you would have to grow the seedling up for a couple of years and get a piece of scion wood off of that Tamukayama and then graft it onto that root stock. Usually it's a side veneer graft, and then once it's well rooted or well healed in there, they'll cut the green part off, and then the weeping plant has to develop. But that takes a while. It takes a good bit of time for that to grow into a sizable enough plant to go into the retail market. So if you're the producer, you've had to invest in either plants that were already grafted or grow the seedlings, then pay a skilled laborer to graft them. Then you have a lot of time invested. How much time it spends in the nursery before it gets to the market is actually a big determiner of how much it costs, big determinant.
Okay.
So, because if you could have turned that space in your nursery over very quickly with something, but instead it took you a lot of years to get it to market. Tamukiyama we mentioned being a good one, a good red lace leaf weeping form, and it's sort of become the standard to replace the old Crimson Queen was the more common red lace leaf weeping that did well in the South because the South, because of our heat, we have to be real careful, and there are literally probably thousands of Japanese maple cultivars now. The history of them goes way back, of course, Japanese maple, Asian, and they've been selecting. There's a lot of genetic variability in the seedling rootstock, so they've been selecting for thousands of years and perpetuating those clones by grafting. So some of these go all the way back and have very complicated, hard to pronounce Japanese names. So do not trust my pronunciation. I'm from Mississippi, right? So you probably want to research whether I'm saying them properly or not. Would you agree with Tamukiyama? Anybody?
I would agree.
I would agree with that, yeah.
And Crimson Queen we can say,
No, we can
right?
say that, right.
Okay, we can say that one. The old standard for an upright red would be Bloodgood. Bloodgood was always the one that did well in the South. But even it would often turn kind of greenish as the summer goes on. It loses the good, rich red tones that we like so much. So more have been coming on that are upright, big reds. I like one called Hefner's Red, which stays very dark and a good deep burgundy through the summer. Emperor One would be another one if you like the upright red forms. But there's a variety of them, and there's whole books devoted to them that you could research. I'm really fond of the green forms. I love a green Japanese maple, and to me the green ones seem to be more tolerant, which makes sense if you think about it. The dark leaf is going to absorb more heat.
Right.
So the green leaves are going to survive our hot sun a little better. And just as far as that goes, most Japanese maples are going to prefer at least afternoon shade. They like some sunlight, or they won't keep the rich colors. They can get kind of wimpy and wispy and not get good rich colors if they're in full deep shade. So ideally morning sun, a few hours of morning sun, and then some afternoon shade will be your best sighting for color and growth and not getting sun scald.
Yes.
Because we start getting calls, don't we?
Yes.
Especially late in the summer when it gets really hot, and if they get a little bit drought stressed. So if you think about the fact that this is in its native setting a woodland maple, one of the things you can do to help avoid the sun scald and the drought stress is to really take care of that root zone. They're sort of like a dogwood in that. They want to have a lot of good air exchange. They want to be planted a little bit high, good organic soil with a lot of porous, what I call the leafy duff, the woodland kind of thing that goes on. Is going to help a whole lot, and be sure that you adequately water those things, especially when getting established. That's crucial. Planting a little bit high, we were just talking about the problems when you plant them a little bit deep and you get that soil that stays wet all the time. They're not going to like that. So if your drainage is a little iffy, I would recommend put them up on a mound to help, and be sure that you mulch well over that root zone to keep those roots cool as well. It's going to help you out a lot.
Okay. Any other diseases or insect pests?
There are, in fact, the borers really like to attack the Japanese maples. The flat-headed borer is common, and luckily that is one that's easily treated with the systemics that you can put around the root zones. And the flat-headed borer is going to have the D-shaped hole as it exits, and the bark looks like it's sort of flaking off, and if you pull back you'll see some engraving. Then that one is more easily treated. But the ambrosia beetles are a whole nother story.
Oh, yeah, they're tough.
And they really love any thin-skinned tree, and the Japanese maples certainly qualify the thin-skinned bark trees. And that's going to be a small hole about the size of a pinhead, a little bit larger than that. Early, a lot of times when they're feeding, you'll see the toothpick-like frass extruding. But if it's windy or it rains, you'll see the sawdust or frass, we call it, the caterpillar poop, has fallen down around the base of that tree, and that's a good clue that it's going to be the ambrosia beetles. And that's a very difficult thing to treat. Usually you're not going to have success. It's not actually the beetle that kills, it's the fungus that the beetle introduces into the tree. So sometimes they'll make it, but often not. The best thing to do is to spray preventively. The other issue that they get, and this is one that I just can't find any solution for, and that is canker. They'll just up and get canker.
Yeah. Cankers are tough.
Cankers are. Usually stressed trees are more prone to canker. If you keep that tree happy and healthy and vigorous and it's got the perfect siding and you don't let it get drought stressed, you're going to be more resistant to the canker. And the canker doesn't always kill it. Sometimes it'll kill a whole limb. Sometimes the tree acts like it wants to die and it doesn't. I had a sire yew, which is an upright lace leaf form, a green leaf form that's very heat tolerant, beautiful fall colors. We had them all over Mississippi State campus. And it got a huge case of canker. And I thought it was going to die, and I got tired of looking at the ugly thing, threw it out in the edge of the woodland, pulled it up and threw it out, and the joker the next year sprouted out.
How about that?
I dug a new hole and put it back in there, and it's like, yep, I'm going to live.
And they lived.
That's right. So, also, since they are grafted plants, be sure you monitor below the graft union and rub off any of the growth that comes out from below that graft union is another thing you need to know.
Okay. Wow. So Japanese maples are nice trees.
There are, and some good places to see them. The Memphis Botanic Garden has got a good collection, and then we have some local people if they want to get in touch with you who allow tours sometimes.
Okay, we could do that. Thanks for the information. That was good.
Sure.
All right.
Well, we've got our basil here, and it's growing very nicely, but it's only got 3 main stems on it. So we would like to trim it, and we want to take off that apical dominance that it's creating, and we want to spread that around to the other shoots that are starting out. So what we'll do is we'll take it and we'll go down to the next place that there's a joint, and we will clip it right there. And then these branches will come out, and so will these. It'll force all of them to come out, and it'll be much bushier. So we'll do that to each one. And then we'll take off this bloom, because we don't want it to bloom. We want it to continue to produce beautiful leaves. There we go. Now it'll bush out and produce more leaves, more for us to harvest to make pesto.
All right, so here's our Q&A segment. Y'all ready?
Ready.
These are good questions.
All right.
There.
All right, you ready to go? All right, here's our first via email. I have 3 seedlings growing from my lace leaf Japanese maple tree. How do I care for them, and when can I move them? And this is from Jim. So guess what?
We just talked about
We
that.
kind of talked about that a little bit.
We're both guilty of digging up seedlings from under maples. Have you done that yet, Chris?
I haven't done it yet.
No.
And I actually have 2 Japanese maples at home, but
you?
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
They transplant fine. They're pretty easy. I like to wait till cool weather. I have done it this time of year. Just pot them up real quickly, put them in a shady area until they get really well adapted, then put them into a partial sun. But ideally, I would say wait till they're dormant this fall. They're pretty hardy.
And make sure you dig
Yeah.
around them so you don't just pull up the roots, because you want those fibrous roots
roots
at the
as you can.
bottom.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're pretty easy to care for.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Don't plant them too deep in the pot.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So there you have it, Mr. Jim. All right. Be careful. So here's our next via email. I would like to plant some cabbages, but we regularly see wild rabbits around the yard. I know certain plants like mums or lavender can be used to deter pests. What are some natural things I can plant with cabbage to hopefully keep rabbits away? And this is from Deanna in Memphis. So she wants to keep Bugs Bunny away, right? The rabbits. The first thing I thought about when I saw the question, get a fence.
Get a fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first
Or we're
thought.
dog people. We just
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's have the dog out in the yard. Yeah.
All right.
We won't have any
But she
problems
wants
with
to plant
rabbits.
something. So what can she plant? And of course, I'm thinking, garlic. Something that has a
Well,
pungent smell
you
or something.
probably can. Things that they
Onions.
don't eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that's fuzzy leafed. Let's see.
There are
Like
things that
oregano, lemon balm,
Yeah.
catmint, mince, chives, sage.
So something
Sage is fuzzy. But they're
Not
just
gonna
going to go
keep-
around it
Sure.
to eat the cabbage.
Right. I mean, what rabbit? I've seen rabbits jump over my dog pack.
Oh man.
So can they jump over whatever you plant and get?
Yeah.
Sure.
If they're hungry for that cabbage, they're going to eat your
Yeah.
cabbage. All this plant partnership
yeah.
stuff, I mean, I hate it. I wish it were that easy.
Wow.
Plant this and we get rid of mosquitoes. And plant this
Yeah.
and keep the
See
rabbits
that all the
away, or
time,
the
yeah.
fleas are gone. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
I wish. So we've got to be a little bit smarter, I think, and realize when we're falling for a marketing gimmick, and realize that a lot of these things that are sold are not going to be the cure to the problem. What would you do for rabbits if you don't have dogs? fence.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Fence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people say
barrier.
electric fence, but I know who will get
No.
shocked.
Oh, you would get
Yeah.
No, you can get that.
user error.
You can get that 2 by 2 inch green coated fencing in rolls, and you can
Oh,
just,
okay, I know what you're
you
talking
know,
about. Okay.
put one, cut it long enough, and go around a cabbage or the patch or something.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Pretty
they're
high.
high, yeah,
Yeah.
'cause you-
That's-
yeah.
yeah, we're talking 3
rabbit.
feet or 4
He's
feet.
He's hungry, you know.
4
Peter
foot,
Rabbit,
4 foot
okay.
fence.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something.
So fencing. All right, Miss Deanna. Hope that
Or
helps
go
you
to,
out.
go to the shelter and save a dog and
Ah.
teach it that it's its job. And you could put the electronic perimeter so that the dog could spend some time outside patrolling for rabbits, and we could have a good predator-prey thing going on.
There you go. All right, from our dog lovers.
It'll
there
run
you
through
have
the
it.
cabbage and tear them down.
Yeah, tear them up, right? All right, so that was fun. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate that. Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplot@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining us. If you want to get more information about butterfly gardens, Japanese maples, or hundreds of other gardening topics, head on over to familyplotgarden.com. While you're there, you can ask us your gardening question. I'm Chris Cooper. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.